Today, we're going to talk about one particular fusion rifle that you should probably craft in the next week or so and why. I ain't really a big fan of fusion rifle metas, but this might be one of those situations where it's better to be prepared than be completely blindsided. In short, last Thursday, Bungie put out a TWAB with a fair amount of upcoming weapon changes. Some were mentioned coming in Season 21, but others are coming in the mid-season update, which I can only imagine is probably around 2 weeks out at this point. One change managed to raise a few eyebrows, the change to rapid-fire frame fusion rifles. In a nutshell here, Bungie crotch-kicked rapid-fire frame fusions a while back as a preemptive strike, but will now undo some of those nerfs. Their damage per bolt is going up from 27.2 to 28.9, and while that seems like a fairly minor change, it'll make it so that any rapid-fire fusion can kill any Guardian in PvP with 7 bolts, no matter what their resil is. Now, while my Hunter and Warlock treat resil in PvP with a fairly what the hell do I care type attitude, my Titan is always in maximum beefcake mode. It's kind of rare that I go below 10 on Titan. And I don't know if you've noticed, Titans are really good and popular in PvP right now. Striker or Bubble Titan with the one-size-fits-all Peacekeepers and a hot SMG roll can completely mop up with kind of little effort. But in the near future, now that 7 bolts on a rapid-fire fusion will be able to kill any resil level, paired together with the fact that SMGs are getting a hot nerf in Season 21, and a lot of seasoned PvPers have put 2 and 2 together and foreseen a potential fusion rifle meta. If you're a fan of the Vooping, you can always comb through your vault and see if you have any good rapid-fire frame fusions laying around. Some people may have a halfway decent Cartesian coordinate, others may have a crafted likely suspect. Very few may have a God Roll Zealot's Reward, aka the Garden of Salvation fusion rifle. I dare not ask those people if they just got lucky or are the rare type of person who went out of their way to play and farm Garden of Salvation for fun. Not only do those types of people actually exist, some of them may be out driving right now. Kind of frightening to think about. But I think most people who enjoy Vooping are going to land on this, the Iterative Loop fusion rifle. It's a new fusion that dropped alongside Lightfall, and here's the 1-2 punch. 1, it is craftable, and 2, it's good. I mean, right now, even pre-buff, this thing is rock solid. Part of what it brings to the table is that out of all the other rapid-fire fusions I mentioned earlier, Zealot, Cartesian, and likely suspect, Iterative Loop has a higher base range than all of them, so very easy to build your loop into a high-range roll. And before you start with the old, but hey, I thought fusion rifles crave stability, like how plants crave electrolytes. Well, you're right, they do. But the good news is that Iterative Loop is fine in that department already, because it has access to one of the holy grail fusion rifle perks, Under Pressure. Looking at everything else in column 3, it's almost a wonder why Bungie put literally any other perks in there at all, because PvP-wise, 99% of the people out there are going to go straight for Under Pressure, as well they should. By just firing off a shot in the bottom half of the mag, you get a gigantic free bump to your stability stat, and you improve the accuracy of your fusion. And most of the time you're in PvP, unless you're sitting on a huge pile of green ammo, you're going to have Under Pressure ready to go even without needing to think about it. So with that free stability bump, there's really nothing to stop you from just dumping everything else into either recoil direction or range for a more well-balanced fusion rifle. Again, feel free to experiment on your own, but yeah, for me, it is a lights-out choice in column 3, Under Pressure. Column 4 might be a harder choice for some people. Adrenaline Junkie is there if you're looking for more damage and have a grenade-heavy build. IMO, it's more of a PvE choice, but I could see some people trying to get really cute with Volt Shot in PvP. I tried that out and was not a fan. To me, there's really only 2 perks I care about in column 4, Kickstart and Elemental Capacitor. Both are going to beef up your neutral game performance with ye old fusion rifle, and by that I mean you don't need to get a kill or do anything special to take advantage of that weapon perk. Let's start with Kickstart. Gain bonus damage and charge rate during a slide after sprinting for a short duration. Prepare to get mathed, respectfully. According to the patch note preview TWAB, current fusion damage per bolt is 27.2. Kickstart gives a 20-ish% damage buff. Not freaking bad, by the way, beefing up your current damage per bolt to a respectable 32.64, give or take. 32.64 times 6 is 195.84, meaning that in the current meta, landing 6 bolts on a loop with Kickstart, you're going to kill some levels of resil, but 7 bolts will kill everyone. After rapid fire frames get that hot buff though, the new damage per bolt is going to be 28.9. Chunk that up by 20% and you get 34.68 damage per bolt. 34.68 times 6 is a whopping 208. When rapid fire frames get buffed, 6 bolts on a Kickstart activated iterative loop will kill anybody in PvP regardless of their resil. Not bad at all, just means you're more likely to get a one burst kill even in the event of bad bolt spread. Kickstart also shortens your charge time during a sprint slide, and while that does sound really tempting, it's a fairly minor improvement for the loop. Check it out side by side. On the left we got Kickstart, and on the right we have normal charge time. You only really notice the faster charge time if we take it down to slow motion. It's only a difference of a couple frames. Definitely could mean the difference between you living and dying in PvP though. Here's what I don't like about Kickstart, and yeah, I understand this may sound like a dumb critique. When I have Kickstart, I put myself into a mindset that I should always be sprinting 100% of the time, so if an enemy pops out of nowhere, I'm ready-ish to bust out my slide voop. But I've learned that more often than not, that mentality kinda gets me into trouble a lot. There are plenty of situations where I just shouldn't be running or sprinting into a room filled with dudes. I kinda put myself into a more aggro frame of mind with Kickstart, and again, it does get me into trouble. I find that when I'm on mouse and keyboard, Kickstart is way easier to use and control, but I find I enjoy fusion rifles more when I play controller. Kind of a weird conundrum there. All in all, Kickstart is a great perk, but just don't be put into the mindset of gotta go fast everywhere. It's plenty deadly even without the perk activated. If you're a Titan main in particular, Kickstart pairs brutally well together with the Antaeus wards, just FYI. Slap them on, go be a very slidey boy, and you get beefed up offense via the fusion rifle and cranked up defense via the I'm rubber, you're glue factor from the Antaeus wards. If you're a Void, Arc, or Stasis player, gonna go ahead and hard recommend Elemental Capacitor, Void people in particular. Elemental is just extra base stats for free. Solar PvP players kinda get the shaft with extra reload speed, and Strand's extra AE may actually help a fair amount of people for this fusion rifle. But to be honest, I really care most about handling recoil and stability. If you play a Void class and you play on controller, Elemental Capacitor is your no-thought GG easy pick for column 4. I put together a quick camo hunter build and brought my crafted Elemental fusion rifle into PvP. Good lord, with Elemental and under pressure together, your stability will never be anywhere even close to a concern for you. Straight up tight bolt grouping each and every time. You go ahead and do you, but my rule of thumb for the Voop enjoyers out there would be Elemental if you play Void, maybe Kickstart for all others. Between column 1 and column 2, you have a lot of options. If you don't really care about recoil direction, I would say maybe go small bore for the buff to both range and stability, but I landed on Arrowhead Break. The only real Achilles heel of the loop is the recoil direction, a pitiful 47 at base. But between both Arrowhead Break and a counterbalance mod, you can skyrocket that bad boy all the way up to 92 recoil direction. You could also just do a targeting adjuster mod and have Arrowhead Break alone taking the recoil up to 77, your call. Again, because I feel under pressure handles the stability factor almost on its own, I went with both projection fuse in column 2 and a range weapon frame when crafting the gun. Now you got a fusion rifle with great recoil direction, great range, and great stability, all baked into using the gun no differently than you normally would. If you don't have the gun and you're worried you're gonna get your eyebrows vooped off with no way to fight back, I got you. I put out a farming video early in Lightfall that shows you how you can farm Neomuna deep sight weapons, and that method actually still works. Here's the short version. You can do it alone if you want, but it works better with a group. Try to get a group of people, and each of you individually load into Terminal Overload on Neptune. You're looking for that right there, the icon for a heroic patrol. When you've got one in your area, just try to blow through it as quickly as you can and have your homies join you to reap the rewards. Completing a heroic patrol on Neptune will always award you with a Neomuna weapon, and I've learned there's about a 15-ish% chance, give or take, that the weapon will be a deep sight drop. Again, you can do that farm solo, but if you're on the mic with a bunch of homies and all individually looking for heroic patrols, better odds of finding one between the 3 of you and then just joining that person. When you finally have the weapon crafted, you can double check my old video on the best method to leveling up crafted weapons. TLDR there's a couple different options, but I still use Shuro-Chi as my go-to, and I do it with a particular build laid out in that video that I feel is the best method. But if you want to bring it into PvP to level up your crafted weapon, like some true Vanguard loving wannabe mad lad, Lord knows I ain't gonna stop you. I'll reiterate, fusion rifle metas ain't really my favorite, so I probably won't be using this thing unless the changes are as oppressive as some people worry they might end up being. But again, for me, I would always rather be prepared than not, so don't craft this at your own risk. If there's any other crafted weapons in the game you think are gonna shine in the mid-season 20 or season 21 meta, let me know down in the comment section. Subscribe if you're new, and I appreciate you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on stream.